This is also a witness and a confirmation on everything that we have been checking so far, and how this leaven is puffing up the assembly. And this is found in the book of Corinthians. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 1 to 13. Okay, Corinthians 1 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 1 to 13, and this is one of the letters of Shaul. Okay, so let's read it together. And it says, "It is commonly reported that there is whoring among you, and such whoring as is not even named among the nations, so as one to have his father's wife. And you have been puffed up, and did not rather mourn, so that he who has done this deed be removed from among you. For I indeed, as absent in body, but present in spirit, have already judged the one who did this, as though I were present. In the name of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, when you are gathered together, and my Ruach, my spirit, with the power of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, deliver such a one to Satan for destruction of the flesh, in order that his spirit, his Ruach, be saved in the day of the Master Yahushua." This is an important topic that is an important topic to study, what is written there. Let's continue in verse 6. "Your boasting is not good. Do you not know that a little leaven leavens the entire lump? Therefore cleanse out the old leaven, so that you are a new lump, as you are unleavened." Here we start seeing the connection between leaven and everything that is written over here. "For also Mashiach our Pesach was slaughtered for us. So then let us celebrate the festival." What is the festival? The festival of unleavened bread. "Not with old leaven, nor with the leaven of evil and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. I wrote to you in my letter not to keep company with those who whore, and I certainly did not mean with those of this world who whore, or with the greedy of gain, or swindlers of idolaters, since then you would need to go out of the world. But now I have written to you not to keep company with anyone called a brother, if he is one who whores, or greedy of gain, or an idolater, or a reviler, or a drunkard, or a swindler. Not even to eat with such a one. For what have I to do with judging outsiders? Do you not judge those who are inside? But Elohim judges those who are outside. And put away the wicked one from among you." This is a so severe story, but there are so many important information in this story shared by Shaul in his letter, and that we are going to analyze the important aspect of what we have read so far. So if we see, the entire context is about sin among the assembly, and we are going to review it step by step. Everything that is written here is related to sin among the assembly. Okay, and here we see it. So basically it is written, "It is commonly reported that is whoring among you." It's talking about the sin of whoring. It's starting in the first statement about whoring, and it says such whoring that is not even named among the nations. So it's a kind of sin that is unknown among the nations. It's not even talk about that in the nation. The nation doesn't know this as a sin, but the Torah of YaHuWaH teaches that it's a sin. What is the kind of whoring that this person was practicing? It's basically to have his father's wife. And it is written in the Torah that by having the wife of the father is uncover the nakedness of the father. So this is totally forbidden in the word of YaHuWaH. So after mentioning what is about, what's the sin, Shaul started to talk about being puffed up. And what is that? Is basically is the same effect that is being done on the lamp, and actually we will see it later down. So and is related basically. You have been puffed up, so that he who has done this deed be removed from among you. So basically, it's talking about the removal of the sin among the assembly. Okay? And he's teaching and basically Shaul is pushing the assembly that you have done anything about that, nothing about that. So you need to remove this man from among you. Okay? So if we continue in the verse 6, it says, your boasting is not good. And he said, do you not know that a little leaven leavens the entire lump? So it's basically a little leaven. He's comparing the sin. And the lamb, the entire lamb, is the assembly. Okay? So it says later in the 7, cleanse out the old leaven, so that you are new lamb, as you are unleavened. So it's taking, cleanse out the old leaven, when he said that we need to remove the one from among you. So if we continue, it's basically down. So then let us celebrate the festival not with the old leaven, not with the leaven of evil and wickedness. Basically, he's connecting the old leaven with the evil and the wickedness. He's connecting the leaven with the sin in the entire context of what we are reading. So, and again, he's reinforcing the idea. I wrote to you in my letter not to keep company with those who whore. And he's saying, and before going there is basically, he's not referring with the outsiders. He's talking about the ones or anyone called a brother that the one is whoring. It's basically everything. He's talking about the sin among the assembly. Okay? And how we need to remove the sin. In the same way that we need to remove the old leaven. Okay? Because he's saying that the little leaven leavens the entire lamb. So So what he's saying is basically, if we keep a little leaven within the assembly, among the assembly, the entire assembly can get contaminated with sin. This is what Shaul is saying. That's why he's pushing the assembly in order to remove the sin and remove this man that is committing sin. Okay? And he's reinforcing this idea at the end in the verse 13. Put away the wicked one from among you. So everything that he's referring here, that we need to remove leaven, he's referring that the leaven, the sin committed by this man needs to be removed. This man needs to be removed, because if it's not, it's gonna puff up the entire assembly. Okay? So, in other words, we are instructed to remove the sin among the assembly, and this is so important, because we see here that the sin puffed up the entire assembly, just like a little leaven leavens the entire lump. So this is the entire teaching that we see here, and we will see two examples of the same thing in the Tanakh. So examples of removing sin from the assembly, and they are so tough examples that it's a reminder to us that why it's so important to remove sin from our lives, and to remove sin in this case from the assembly. This is basically the instruction that we are seeing here, and please keep in mind what we are studying. How all of this that we are reviewing now is connected to the feast of unleavened bread, to Hat Hamatzot. And we are trying to understand and unlock the mystery of the day 15. All of this is connected completely with what we are looking for. So let's move on and let's review the first example in the Tanakh, in Bemidbar, Numbers chapter 15, verse 30 to 36. Is basically the same thing that happened in the letter of Shaul. We will see it in the Tanakh related to removal of sin on the assembly. Okay? And it says in the verse 30, but the being who does whatever defiantly whether he's native or a stranger, he reviles YaHuWaH, and that being shall be cut off from among his people. It's a tremendous statement, okay? That being that do something differently, he reviles YaHuWaH and it has to be cut off from among his people. Here's the instruction in the Torah that we need to do that. Because he has despised the word of YaHuWaH and has broken his command, has practiced sin basically, that being shall certainly be cut off. His crookedness is upon him. So why this so severe commandment? Because we understand now that sin as leaven can puff up the entire lamp. So if the sin remains in the assembly, the entire assembly can be contaminated with sin. And we can see this throughout the entire history of Israel, how when kings that were practicing evil before the eyes of YaHuWaH were guiding the people to idolatry and to sin against YaHuWaH. So we see was the effect of sin in the assembly, in the same way that the leaven, the effect of leaven in the lamp is basically fermenting or making the lamp to increase. It's contaminating the entire assembly in the entire lamp. So let's continue, because here we see after this tremendous commandment, we see the example that the first example in the verse 32. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Shabbat day. This man was doing it defiantly, was breaking Shabbat by working on Shabbat. And those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moshe and to Aaron and to all the congregation, and they put him in under guard, because it had not been declared what should be done to him. And YaHuWaH said to Moshe, the man shall certainly be put to death, all the congregation stoning him with stones outside the camp. And all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him with stones as YaHuWaH commanded Moshe, and he died. Why? Because he reviled again YaHuWaH. It's in the way that is written here in the commandment. That's why they needed to remove this man from the assembly, in order to protect the assembly to get contaminated with the sin. That's the entire reason. That's why YaHuWaH is telling us that we need to be Kodesh, as he is Kodesh, because YaHuWaH Elohim is set apart. So, and it's even wonderful in the way that YaHuWaH is guiding us and teaching us how to follow his way, because even after this example and this story, YaHuWaH gave us the commandment of wearing tzitzit. And why is the entire purpose of the tzitzit? In order not to forget that as soon as we see it, not that we are going to remember that we need to keep the commandment of YaHuWaH. YaHuWaH doesn't want us to die. YaHuWaH wants us to live and walk in his way. But the point is that the sin in our flesh sometimes is so strong that if we are not holding the hand of YaHuWaH with all our strength, we can commit sin defiantly. And this is very dangerous, because the entire assembly can get contaminated. And the second witness that we see here, and the second example, and how sin needs to be removed, and this is in the entire context of remove sin from the assembly. It's in the book of Yahushua. This is Joshua chapter 7, verse 10 to 12, and verse 19 to 21. And this is also an important story, and also somehow is a prophetic one. Okay, and it says the following in the verse 10. And YaHuWaH said to Yahushua, rise up. Why are you lying on your face? Israel has sinned. Here we see the connection with sin. and the sin of the assembly. And they have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them. And they have even taken some of that which is under the ban, and have both stolen and deceived, and also put it among their own goods. And the sons of Israel shall not be able to stand before their enemies. Amazing. Basically, YaHuWaH is going away from Israel because of this. They are going to turn their backs before their enemies, for they have become accursed. This is an important statement. By sinning, we become accursed. I am not with you anymore, unless you destroy that which is under the ban from your midst. So this is so important. That's why we need to remove sins from the assembly. You know, this is very important, and it's the Ruach HaKodesh that is reminding this in my mind and heart now. The assembly is acting as a body, you know, and that's why we can see the how to say it, the example with our own lives. If we see our own body and we see the teachings from the scripture, the teachings that we need to remove sin from ourselves. Okay, and we see this in the teachings of Yahushua, and we see that in the words of in the Tanakh, that we need to remove the sin from ourselves, from our lives. So in the same way that we need to remove sin from ourselves in order to walk in righteousness and to walk in the way of YaHuWaH, not breaking his Torah, the same is applicable for the body of YaHuWaH, the body of Yahushua, of Mashiach, is the assembly, his people, that is acting in unity, is acting as a body. That's why sin needs to be removed from the body, from the assembly, because in the same way that if we don't remove sin from our lives, that we are gonna go astray and we are gonna sin against YaHuWaH, the same is applicable for the body of the assembly. That if sin is not removed from the assembly, the entire body will go astray. This is the amazing way that YaHuWaH is teaching us in his Devar, and we see it clearly here that YaHuWaH doesn't listen and doesn't answer to sinners. It's written everywhere in the scripture, and the same is applicable for the assembly. If the assembly is keeping sins among them, basically YaHuWaH is saying, I'm not with you anymore, unless you destroy that which is under the ban from your midst. That's why we need to remove sin from assembly. And again, connect this with what we're studying about leaven and the Chag HaMatzot, the feast of unleavened bread. So in the verse 19 it says, Then Yahushua said to Achan, my son, now give steam to YaHuWaH, Elohim of Israel, and make confession to him, and please declare to me what you have done. Do not hide from me. So Achan answered Yahushua and said, Truly I have sinned against YaHuWaH, Elohim of Israel, and this is what I did. When I saw among the spoil a lovely garment from Shinar, and 200 shekel of silver, and a wedge of gold weighing 50 shekels, I coveted them and took them. And see, they are hidden in the ground in the midst of my tent, with the silver under it. If you continue reading this story, you will see that the judgment for Achan and his entire family, it was death by stoning. Okay? Because, why was that? Because of removal of sin, in the same way that was done in the example before. Sin has to be removed from our lives, has to be removed from the assembly. And if we think prophetically, this is exactly what YaHuWaH is going to do during his day of wrath. He's going to remove sin from the world. Okay? This is very important. Okay? And just to complement this, and this is coming from the word of YaHuWaH, that's why we need to fear YaHuWaH, because it's fearsome to fall into his hand. We need to follow his way, because we need to understand that his way is the only way of truth and the way of righteousness. And by following his way and following Yahushua, It's the only way that we are going to be part of His kingdom, the Malchut Hashemayim. So, again, just to complement this understanding is that sin must be removed from His people. And let me read this, because those passages that you see over there in Devarim and Yehezkel are very, very important. So let's go to Devarim 17:12. We are just establishing that sin is related to leaven, and sin has to be removed in the same way that leaven has to be removed from the assembly and from our lives. Okay? Devarim 17:12. Deuteronomy 17:12. It says the following: and the man who acts arrogantly, so as not to listen to the priest who stands to serve there before YaHuWaH your Elohim, or to the judge, that man shall die. So you shall purge the evil from Israel. Again, this is a commandment. So YaHuWaH is saying that a man that is acting arrogantly, that is not listening to the priest, to the judge, the people that are standing before YaHuWaH Elohim, that man shall die. But the most important point here is that is saying that so you shall purge the evil from Israel. So YaHuWaH is commanding us to remove the evil from Israel for the same reason that we have been talking and speaking now, is in order to avoid that the entire assembly get contaminated. Okay? And the next one in Yehezkel, this is prophetic because this is related to the second Exodus and what's going to happen. And this is also, we can see how YaHuWaH is revealing the end from the beginning, because this happened in the first Exodus as well. Yehezkel chapter 20, verse 37 to 38. And it says the following. Yehezkel is Ezekiel. Verse 37, it says, and I shall make you pass under the rod. Okay? Let me read from the 35 just for you to have context. It says, and I shall bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, and shall enter into judgment with you face to face there. So he's talking about the second Exodus. Okay? He's going to bring us to the wilderness of the people. As I enter, in the verse 36, as I enter into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Mizraim, so I shall enter into judgment with you, declares the Master YaHuWaH. And I shall make you pass under the rod, and shall bring you into the bond of the covenant. And listen to this in the verse 38. And purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. From the land where they sojourn I bring them out, but they shall not come into the land of Israel, and you shall know that I am YaHuWaH. So he's saying exactly in the same way that happened during the first Exodus. He will bring all the people from all the corners of the earth, but not all of them are going to enter into the promised land, because some of them are going to be purged, the rebels and those that transgress against YaHuWaH. Again, we see the same concept. Is the removal of sin, the removal of leaven from among the assembly. Even YaHuWaH is going to do it during the second Exodus. Okay? So, let's continue. And we already established directly from the word of YaHuWaH that leaven is related to the false teaching and directly is related to sin. And we have seen that we need to remove it from the assembly as we need to remove it from us. But also the word of YaHuWaH teaches about the good leaven. And this is very important because here we will see the relationship and the transition we need to do, and how this is amazingly connected to the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Hat HaMatzot. So, what is the good leaven? And this is in the word of Yahushua in Matthew chapter 13, verse 33. And it says, another parable he spoke to them. The Malchut, the kingdom, the Malchut Hashemayim, the kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal until all was leavened. So Yahushua is comparing the Malchut Hashemayim, the kingdom of heaven, with the leaven. So for sure, in this case, this leaven that he's talking about cannot be sin, cannot be false teaching, cannot be hypocrisy. He's talking about other kind of leaven, because he's talking about a woman that hid this 3 measures of meal until everything was leavened, because this is the effect of leaven. Okay, so let's see the second witness in the book of Luke. It says, and again he said, to what shall I compare the Malchut of Elohim, the kingdom of Elohim? It is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of flour until it was all leavened. Again, it's the same parable with 2 witnesses, comparing basically the Malchut of Elohim, the kingdom of Elohim, compared with leaven. And again, it cannot be comparing it with sin. Leaven in this case is something totally different. Okay, so why is this so important? Because it's the transition. If we remember what happened with Israel when they came out from Mizraim and they crossed the Red Sea, they came to the mountain, the Har Sinai. And what happened there? During the feast of Shavuot, they received the 10 Commandments and they closed and they complete the covenant, and they received the covenant from YaHuWaH. So what happened during Shavuot, and this is written in Vayikra, Leviticus 23, 16 and 17. It says the following: until the morrow after the 7th Shabbat you count 50 days. Then you shall bring a new grain offering to YaHuWaH. Bring from your dwelling for a wave offering 2 loaves of bread, of 2/10 of an ephah, of fine flour they are, baked with leaven, first fruits to YaHuWaH. This is the only moment that YaHuWaH is accepting as an offering, bread baked with leaven. And why this is so important? Because this is totally connected to the parable of Yahushua, by comparing the Malchut of Elohim, the kingdom of Elohim, with leaven. It's basically leaven in the feast of Shavuot. So what is leaven here? And we will see it just now. And what's the transition that I was talking about? That first we need to remove the bad leaven, because this is what Israel was doing it by going out of Mizraim as part of the feast of Had Hamatzot, going out from sin, going out from bondage of sin, going out from the old leaven, in order to become leavened again during the feast of Shavuot, by receiving the 10 Commandments and receiving the covenant. But in this case, to become leavened with the good leaven that is related to the Malchut Hashemayim. So we need to understand what is this good leaven, okay? And we can see it basically is in the book of Matthew chapter 6 and 33, and Romijim, this is Romans chapter 14 and 17. And we will see that we are talking about the transition from the old leaven. We need to become unleavened bread, okay? In this case, it's the old leaven, the wrong leaven, that is chata. Chata is sin in Hebrew. And we are transitioning from the old leaven by becoming unleavened bread to become a new bread, a new leavened bread, but with the good bread. In this case, the leaven that is good is related to the tzedakah, righteousness. So we are transitioning from sin to righteousness. And how we can compare that and we can relate the parables of Yahushua, that he's comparing this good leaven with the Malchut Shemayim, in order to say that this good leaven is righteousness. So let's go to the first one, the first witness, in Matthew 6:33. It seems that this part is going to be a long one, but it's important to deliver the entire message. So it says the following: but seek first the Malchut of Elohim, the kingdom of Elohim, and his righteousness, and all this shall be added to you. So we see here in the words of Yahushua the connection between the Malchut of Elohim and the righteousness of Elohim. So both things are going together. Righteousness with the Malchut of Elohim. So we are going to see it more clearly in the next witness in the book of Romans, Romans chapter 14, verse 17. And it says the following: for the kingdom of Elohim, the Malchut of Elohim, is not eating and drinking, listen to this, but righteousness, tzedakah, and peace, shalom, and joy in the Ruach HaKodesh. Let me read it again. For the Malchut of Elohim is not eating and drinking, but righteousness, and peace, and joy in the Ruach HaKodesh. So we see clearly here that the good leaven is the righteousness, is the Malchut of Elohim, is the righteousness of the Malchut, is the righteousness of YaHuWaH, is the righteousness of Elohim. So that's why we need to take away all the old leaven, all the sin, in order to transition and become leaven with the righteousness of the Malchut of Elohim. So important to understand this, just to understand the whole purpose of the Chag HaMatzot feast. Okay? So let's continue. So we are going to enter now in review it in details and directly to unlock the mystery of the day 15. So the first way we are gonna do is to, and now that we somehow understand the significance of the feast, we're gonna review the entire analysis. We're gonna do the analysis of the first Pesach and the first Feast of Unleavened Bread. We already did it in previous videos, so we're gonna go fast in this part in order to understand what is it about. So this is written in the book of Shemot, Sefer Shemot, book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 14 to 20, and also we're going to read the 34 and the 39. Okay, so it says the following, starting in the verse 14: and this day shall become to you a remembrance, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to YaHuWaH throughout your generations. Celebrate it as a festival, an everlasting law. And let me stop here, because I think I mentioned it in few videos in the past that according to the Torah, according to the scriptures, not all the Moedim are considered festivals. Only 3 of them are considered festival: the Chag HaMatzot, or Feast of Unleavened Bread; Chag Shavuot, this is the festival of Shavuot, or festival of Pentecost, and the Chag Sukkot, or Chag of Ingathering. Those are the 3 Moedim that are considered festivals. This is important because here in the context we see that it's talking about this day shall become a remembrance. What day? The day that we are going to celebrate as a festival. So it's talking about Chag HaMatzot, and we need to celebrate it as an everlasting law. Let's read the 15 because it's going to get more clear. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. Indeed, on the first day you cause leaven to cease from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that being shall be cut off from Israel. And you see the connection to what we have seen so far. The being that eats leavened bread shall be cut off. And here we see the connection with sin. The being that is sinning differently against YaHuWaH, that is basically puffing up the lamp of the assembly, that being shall be cut off. It's exactly the same concept and the same pattern that YaHuWaH is showing us here as part of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Chag HaMatzot. Let me read it again. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that being shall be cut off from Israel. And on the first day is a set-apart gathering, and on the seventh day you have a set-apart gathering. No work at all is done on them, only that which is eaten by every being, that alone is prepared by you. And you shall guard the festival of Matzot, the Chag HaMatzot, for on this same day I brought your division out of the land of Mizraim, and you shall guard this day throughout your generations, an everlasting law. So he's talking about this day, guarding the festival of Matzot. And what is the day that we need to guard throughout their generation? It says, for on this same day I brought your division out of the land of Mizraim. And we already know, because we already studied this as part of the series, that this day is the day 15 of the first Chodesh, the first month. That is the day that YaHuWaH is referring to. For on the same day, the day 15, I brought your division out of the land of Mizraim, and you shall guard this day throughout your generation. And it says in the verse 14, let me go back, and this day, what day? The day 15, shall become to you a remembrance. Why? Because in that day, he brought our divisions out of the land of Mizraim. Amazing. So let's continue, verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the Chodesh, the month, in the evening, you shall eat unleavened bread, as part of Pesach, until the 21st day of the Chodesh, in the evening, because it's 7 days of feast, okay, that we need to eat unleavened bread. For 7 days, not leaven is to be found in your houses. For if anyone eats what is leavened, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether sojourner or native of the land. Is applicable to everyone. And this is the amazing connection with the two examples of people sinning on the assembly, among the assembly. Okay, verse 20. Do not eat that which is leavened. In all your dwellings you are to eat unleavened bread. Let's go to verse 34. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, having their kneading bowls bound out in their garments on their shoulders. Verse 39. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they had brought out of Mizraim, for it was not leavened, since they were driven out of Mizraim, and had not been able to delay, nor had they prepared food for themselves. So we see the entire context and how this is totally connected to what we have seen so far in this video, about the connection with sin, the connection with leaven, the connection of taking out leaven from our bodies, from our lives, from the assembly, because leaven puffed up the lamp. And we see here that anybody or any being that eat leavened bread during this feast will be cut off from Israel, in the same way that sin or committing sin, or those committing sin among the assembly, will be cut off from the assembly. Okay, so the entire context and the entire purpose of the Feast of Unleavened bread is basically removal of sin. And we have more information here, because it's not only what is written on what happened on that day, on the day 15, and also this is important, the reinforcement of the day 15, that to be a remembrance of because of what happened that day. But we see it also in Shemot, Exodus chapter 13, verse 5 to 10, saying the following: And it shall be, when YaHuWaH brings you into the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, And the Jebusites, the promised land, is talking about what has to happen when Israel entered into the promised land. It says, which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep this service in this Chodesh. What service? Let's continue, verse 6. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. It's talking about the service of the Chag HaMatzot, the feast of Chag HaMatzot. 7 days you eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day is a festival to YaHuWaH. Unleavened bread is to be eaten the 7 days, and whatever is leavened is not to be seen with you. And leaven is not to be seen with you within all your borders, because it's the same, the context of the sin. Sin needs to be removed completely from our lives, and sin needs to be completely removed from our borders. And you shall inform your son in that day, saying, it is because of what YaHuWaH did for me when I came out of Mizraim. Everything is related to what YaHuWaH did for them. And what YaHuWaH did for them is basically took them up from slavery. YaHuWaH cut all the bondage of slavery from the old leaven, from sin of Mizraim. And YaHuWaH took the people out of Mizraim from the slavery, from bondage of sin, in order to bring them to his mountain, in order to give them the good leaven of the righteousness of the Malchut Hashemayim. Verse 9, and it shall be as a sign to you on your hand and as a reminder between your eyes, that the Torah of YaHuWaH is to be in your mouth, the righteousness of YaHuWaH. For with a strong hand YaHuWaH has brought you out of Mizraim, and you shall guard this law at its appointed time from year to year. So we see the amazing connection and the wonderful connection that this feast, the feast of unleavened bread, the Chag HaMatzot, is related to the removal of sin from his people, the removal of sin from Israel. Everything is related to the removal of sin of Israel, and as we have been confirming throughout this study on the Devar of YaHuWaH, Israel is the one fulfilling the feast, and even we saw Israel fulfilling the first Chag HaMatzot, and we will see very soon how Israel is the one fulfilling it again. And we will see how Israel will fulfill it in the future during the second Exodus. We just read it in Yehezkel, that YaHuWaH will remove the sin among the assembly as well. Okay? So let's continue. And this one we saw it actually, just to keep it visually, what happened during the first Pesach and the first Chag HaMatzot. We see here the day 14 of the month, that in the Erev of the day 14, the Pesach lamb was sacrificed, and it was eaten during the night of watches. This was the night of watches, okay? And during this night, it was the death of the firstborn of Mizraim and the salvation of the firstborn of Israel. This is very important. And during the same moment, Pharaoh called Moshe and sent out the people. And we see that the people left Mizraim on the day 15 of the Chodesh. They left the bondage on the first day of the Chag HaMatzot. This is the day of remembrance because YaHuWaH set them free. Israel was free from bondage starting on the first day of the Chag HaMatzot, of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So we see here basically the summary of what happened. The Korban, the lamb of Pesach, was sacrificed on Erev, in the evening of day 14. It was eaten during the night of watches. And the death and the salvation of the firstborn happened on the midnight during the same night. And the important thing of what we are studying now, that Israel was free from bondage on the morning after Pesach. That means on the day 15 of Aviv. That's the importance of the day 15, is getting free from the bondage, getting free from the leaven, getting free from the leaven, and started to be unleavened bread, in order to be leaven again, but with the good leaven. And this process started on the day 15 of Aviv. Okay, so, and this is amazing because here we will see part of the mystery revealed.